welcome to the road to digital art with me, Margaret, and Ali Ran. How are you doing, Ali?
I'm good. I want to see how this new camera system works.
It's still small.
Oh, it's snazzy.
But we don't look like
snazzy.
potatoes.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's good.
Today we are going to be doing a lesson about life drawing. But before we do so, Ollie is going to critique my amazing art that I did.
Just amazing, not amazing?
No, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. It's my homework from lesson 2, which, Ollie, what was lesson 2 about?
Lesson 2 was about the basics of drawing people, which is why this week is about drawing real people, to see how we can
Just so
apply
you know,
that
I
sort
was
of
also drawing real people.
Yes, exactly. Real people instead of imaginary people, I suppose, is the best way to put it. I mean, I spend all my time drawing imaginary people. So
This is true. This is true. You do spend a lot of time drawing imaginary people. They're all in his head.
I mean, if you think about it. Yeah.
So I'm a little afraid. I'm sharing this with you all because
it was a place of love. It's a place of love.
Your feedback is coming from a place of love. I'm more so saying that other people out there, if you have wanted to do art and you haven't done it before, I'm very new to art. It's only been like since last March, was it, when I first started doing art stuff?
Yeah, right.
Maybe it was the March before that. I don't know. I started doing art because I was doing a charity stream for Gamers Outreach, and they had a Bob Ross paint-off with a bunch of streamers, and I ended up finding out that I loved painting. I had so much fun doing it, and so I've painted a lot of stuff since then. There's some people out there who own artwork that I have created, which is just crazy to me
originals.
that people bought art that I have created. Like, that's insane.
It's a good feeling.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I want to do digital art, and that is a whole slew of difference. It's very different. I feel like it has it's not as tactile to me. I don't know about what you think, Ali.
Yeah, just via its nature, right? You're not going to have that same the textures of slopping on oil paint or sort of delicately dabbing with watercolors. It's never going to be the same. As much as you can emulate those things, it's never going to be those things. And what I'm kind of teaching is how to have it be its own thing instead of just emulating what you already know, which is possible, but not the best.
Yeah. So on my side of things, I am learning, so be kind as you follow along with my journey. But if you're also in the same state as me where you really want to learn how to do art and you're making yourself vulnerable like I am, I understand and I'm there with you. So like we said, there is a section on the Discord, which is available if you just do ! Discord in chat, or if you're watching this live, it should be, or watching this on YouTube, it should be in the links below. But you can go over to the art and photography section and you can leave your art or photography there, and there's tons of amazing people who will tell you how awesome you're doing and give you encouragement and also feedback if you're requesting it. So, I'm scared.
The first step is admitting you have a problem.
You're gonna see it. Ollie Ran already made fun of the bulge on one of them. So, here we go.
There's a few things about me. I can't not make fun of a bulge. I can't.
I mean, I don't blame you. So I can zoom in wherever you want. You just let me know. And...
Okay, so, first question. Why do you like drawing people from a sort of life drawing thing, or were you drawing people like in real life?
I was drawing people in photos.
Okay.
So I basically went onto my Instagram and I sifted through. I found that I have a lot of female friends who post lots of photos of themselves, so that was easy. Males, not so much. So my male friends, you gotta step it up.
Step it up. I need to be on there snapping.
Yeah, Ollie, give me some poses.
I don't have an Instagram.
So that's a thing. My boyfriend's like, why are you drawing this hot blonde chick? I was like, well, she's my friend, and I hope she doesn't mind if I'm drawing her, because she already posted this photo of herself out there. But yeah, so that's where I got my stuff.
What of art.
And this is a
That
picture. You guys are
actually
seeing a
explains a lot.
picture of my drawings.
These are Instagram poses. Okay.
Yeah.
So the first thing I find very interesting is that it looks like you draw on paper.
I did draw on paper because you said it was okay for me to draw on paper.
It's better to you draw on paper, but it seems like you draw on paper in a similar way to how you draw on computer. It looks like you use a lot of like fairly soft strokes.
I do.
Instead of hard strokes, which is interesting. It's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It's just it is a thing I find interesting.
Okay.
Because that's sort of a very.
I'm like I don't know. I know there's people who hold pens differently. I hold my pen very lightly. I've never been somebody who presses hard. Even when I'm writing, I write very lightly. So I think that's why I like all the pens that I use for my planner are all like the markery types of pens, but they're like really fine tips. Does that make sense?
No, I know the ones where you got like the felt tips that sort of come to a bit more of a point.
Yeah, so like they do all that extra darkening for me where I don't have to press really hard. Frank is like, do you just need me to do selfies? I think I need like the full body to some extent.
We will do some face stuff. So unless there's a disaster, we'll do faces next time.
What do you mean a disaster?
I don't know what I mean is a
okay.
disaster.
I was like, what is a disaster to you? Like I'm really unless you're
disaster.
real bad, then we're not doing faces. Okay.
Yeah, you can't get to the face until you master the bulge.
I'm really bad at that part.
Some people draw differently when it comes to digital than they do in person, and you want to know something that's real interesting right now?
What?
I've had to change some settings. You know how you were saying your tablet has touch and mine didn't? It has touch again. I don't know when that turned back on.
He picked up his tablet and then all of a sudden he's like, it did something. Oh no.
It did.
Yeah, mine has like, I'm using my finger right now to do
That's why it was being weird earlier. I might have been tapping it with my foot. It's just interesting because some people draw differently digitally than they do in person. I draw very similar digitally than I do in person. That's why I was saying actually it's a good idea.
So we're similar in that sense.
We're similar in that sense, but we draw in entirely different ways. I draw it with very hard strokes in pencil. Like the only pencils I use for drawing are, and you'd think I'd have one within arm's reach, and I do, are mechanical pencils. I don't really get around with anything else.
You said you use mechanical pencils. I did not use a mechanical pencil. I used a drawing pencil made for drawing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when I was at uni and doing life drawing classes, I had like the whole tin of like different hardnesses, and you use this for this and this for this and this and this. I just use mechanical pencils. It's one hardness to rule them all.
And for those of you watching live, if you can, click that Twitter link, retweet it, and give it a favorite. It's a free way to help support the stream, and it would mean a ton to me. I know it sounds really silly, but it does help a ton.
Yeah, it's good practice. And charcoal is actually a thing I find very good. I don't know why. I just have a preference to drawing in charcoal.
I wouldn't mind trying charcoal. It does look like a lot of fun.
Yeah, because in charcoal you draw. It's sort of the same logic as drawing in pencil, but there's a lot more sort of like if you miss the tactile-ness, it's more tactile on pencil because you can kind of like smudge it and adjust it and stuff. And something that is very similar to the way I'm with painting on this is you can start with like gray or brown sketchbooks and have chalk and charcoal. You can draw the light and you can draw the dark. You can do things very quickly. That's what you're meant to do in concept art. Shit, drop things. Everything's good. I'm a mess right now. There's a heat wave in the UK, which means I'm either awake and tired and not doing anything, or trying to sleep and tired and not doing anything. I do not handle heat.
Oh, it's been really warm, and I know that the UK AC is not as good sometimes.
It's not a thing. Yeah. I have a 6-inch fan down here. That's the only thing keeping me cool.
That's not a very big fan.
No. No, it's not.
So I can zoom in on any of these.
Go ahead and zoom in.
Should I start at the top and then we'll just go around? And
yeah.
you can just
Yeah, we're not going to take super long on
tell
them.
me how you feel. I think the first one I didn't spend as much time. I went pretty quick.
The first one was very gestural. So, because the lesson today is about life drawing, one of the main things of life drawing is gesturalness, which is basically trying to get an idea of a pose down as quick as possible. And honestly,
this is a very suggestive pose.
it's all about finding like inner balance and whatnot. But honestly, for like what it is, it's fine. I have zero issue with this one.
Zero issues?
In general. Well, of course it's not perfect, but for your level of learning and for what it is,
Day 2 of learning.
Yeah, exactly. And gestural paintings, you're never going to get the amazing detail until you get like amazingly good at it. 1 in 10 gestural painting is going to be great, but it's more about learning the body and drawing it really quickly. And that's what that one's about. And it was probably the first one of like the page or whatever.
Yeah, this is the first one that I drew. Which
is also, you usually want the first one to be quicker to sort of just get all of it.
Yeah, I was just trying to be like, all right, I can figure this out.
Wrist, all that stuff. And it's great. It's fine. You don't have to worry about it. Next.
All right, next.
So, is she actually...
She was actually holding or throwing up a basketball.
Oh, I see that now.
But yeah, and she was wearing like shorts, like really short shorts.
Really short shorts?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, based on mine, I don't actually know the picture it was based off, and sometimes pictures do have kind of like slightly weird proportions and things. The issue with this one,
she had a weird leg proportion, but I think it was because her foot was putting pressure on her.
I was gonna say
leg, so her like
pressure on the thigh.
And I think the shorts might have been too tight, so kind of like.
See, that was going to be the part I was going to say. That sort of leg, that her right leg, left leg on this picture is probably my favorite part of this, because the reason why life drawing is very valuable is because the body's made up of meat and acts real weird. And this is one of those.
For some reason, I really want to meet Maggie's Instagram friends. I'm sorry.
And, I was very tempted to make that joke.
So you want to hook me up with your Instagram friends? They're all taken, by the way.
There's an artist. He's very interested in drawing, like Rose and the Titanic. So that's why I quite like that, because that's one of the things where if you were drawing a pose like this, you probably wouldn't have even thought to put in that like perfect storm of stuff. And honestly, I probably wouldn't as well if I wasn't using reference. The rest of the painting is kind of flat, but that's the issue with drawing from photos. So what I actually meant when I said the little homework, but I didn't really say, I didn't really worry about it because I kind of wanted to see what you would do, is like drawing people in front of you.
Yeah.
But then it's
I attempted to do that, but people were like too creeped out, I think.
Yeah, see, when I attempted to do that, I was at an art school. More okay with it. But
they're like, why is she staring at me? I'm like, this isn't gonna go well.
That's one of the issues I find with drawing with photos, and I, in general, have issues with people drawing from photos. I am a bit of a grumpy old man about it, especially from a learning perspective. Because
I'm a nerd, Ollie. I don't go out anywhere. I don't know what people are.
You just work. But the issue is that your photos are two-dimensional. You're going to draw a two-dimensional painting. That's what's happened here. And that is what it is. And I feel like that's just sort of the problem. If you were on the beach with the short shorts, then who knows how different it would have been. But that whole like leg, I like that leg. It's a good leg. Good
okay. I think it looks so weird.
It looks weird, but it looks real.
Oh.
So this one's pretty good, actually. So there's one thing in general when you're drawing people, especially with life drawing, because this is essentially that you did a little bit of life drawing using your Instagram, is you should always try and draw every part of the body very quickly, even if you can't, like, put some facsimile of the hand, put some facsimile of the hair. Like, I quite like what you did with the head there. It's like, imagine you were drawing this very quickly and you just didn't have time to draw in like flowing hair or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like, okay, there is a head there. There's no detail in it. It actually kind of looks kind of artsy.
I think I was timing myself, and I don't remember how much time I gave myself.
It doesn't really matter, but the fact that you were timing yourself was good. But actually, yeah, aside from there's no hands, this one's, again, pretty good, because you've got the sort of... So there's a concept I describe as weight in paintings, in drawing characters, and whether the more or less weight is how realistic the positioning is, and
yeah,
how
she has
much...
a nice booty.
She's got a nice booty, but it's not like you just drew a bubble butt.
No, that
like
was
a
like what
cartoon
her butt looked like.
That is a booty, but like everything is weighted the right way realistically, and like that pose is right and things. So it looks pretty good, because it looks like she's just standing there, but she could be standing anywhere in real life, because the weight is so good. Partly because it was a great pose to draw, but partly you captured it really well. Yeah. You get credit where credit's due. You also get sass where sass is due. It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I mean, she might just have some high-up boobs, but there's some high-up boobs going on there.
She does have high up. I mean, I'm not... Yeah.
No shame.
She's got nice boobs.
It's one of those things where you'll learn when you start drawing real people, is that a lot of people... I said this to you off stream once. A lot of people are out of proportion. When you're learning proportion, you don't learn for the level of variance that real people are at. And that's fine, and that's great, and it's good, and it's beautiful. But sometimes it does lead to being like, that doesn't look right. It is real, it doesn't look right. Which is just very strange. And it's one of the things of when you are... it's one of the reasons I don't like drawing from photos for like big projects. Is like sometimes you can get in that space where drawing things completely from photos, they don't end up looking consistent in like an actual like illustration or painting or something, because sometimes people don't aren't proportioned properly, which is fine. Like I said, one of the people in my life drawing class that I had to paint had really short legs. We were trying to do this life drawing class to learn how to draw people, and she had really short legs. Like,
don't make fun of me, Ollie.
Look, you can have short legs, but you're not the best person to learn from if I'm trying to draw peeps. But,
yeah, I actually really like the foot that I drew here, and I'm not like a foot person at all, but I'm like, that foot.
When there's a good foot, you got to respect a good foot, because feet are hard to draw. That's why I'm saying, like, the whole feet are hard to draw because of this concept of weight. You can very easily draw on a foot, whether it looks correct, whether it can be one of the things that sets a picture apart from like great or terrible. I was trying to think of a word that started with G that was terrible for alliteration purposes. I can't. Gruntious. That's what I wanted to say. It's not a word.
Gruntious?
Gruntious. I could just say it's a British thing and maybe get away with it, but I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna lie to you. But yeah, that whole concept of weight is very important, and I will be sort of explaining it a lot more in general, because it is one of the things that sets apart the goods from the greats.
No, I mean that makes a lot of sense. Like you can
feel
that like a lot of her weight is here, and that she's kind of tippy-toeing here. Like you can feel that from the photo.
Exactly, and it's
because her head is tilted, you know why things are wrinkled.
There is and let me go into.
And I think the reason why I didn't get to her hand was because the time was up, and also she's like holding onto a rail. There's like a whole bunch of stuff going on in the background.
So something that's very. Let me Photoshop. All right, one moment. Trying to get the annotation system in our video service to work, and sometimes it does, and sometimes
I might have it off for you. Oh, I think I have it. Yeah, you should be able to.
Clear. No, I can't. But what I was going to show is there's actually a line of motion in this painting.
Oh no, it says it's available, so you should be able to annotate.
It doesn't work as intended.
Okay.
Let's be honest with that. Oh no, I remember how you meant to do it now. Yes, there's two buttons for it, and one of them works, one of them doesn't. But there's a line of motion in this painting. Even though there's no motion in the painting, it's someone standing still. Something, if I was teaching you how to draw comics, because this is very important in comics. line of motions just makes images more interesting. I actually found a real good picture from Disney's old like design document, and basically there always has to be line of motion. And this painting, one of the reasons it looks so good is that there is this, she's not just standing.
Yeah.
She's standing in such a natural way that there's this curve through the body, which makes it a very interesting pose. You know, if this was in a comic and she was staring off into some like sunset sky with some like thought bubbles about, you know, whatever's going on, it would look great. It would be like the end page, you know? If you give us a hand.
Are you moving to the next one?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
This one's pretty fine. I actually quite like your face on this one because, of course, I haven't taught you anything about faces at all. I have seen you draw some faces of like characters before.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, and again, I don't know, I haven't seen the original picture, that you don't have that concept of weight in this picture. And I imagine that the model probably does, although the thing with Instagram pictures, sometimes they are sort of in that uncanny area of it. It'd be kind of weird to draw them because they're probably very posed, you know?
Yeah.
For example, like this gap here, I don't know, weirds me out. Like this going on, in general, the arm would usually be more like behind the chest and then coming out and around instead of like.
Yeah, her arm was out, so there was space, but I can
give you the benefit of the doubt and stuff. It's just it does look strange. But the whole face, neck, head, top, it's pretty good. Bear in mind, I've taught you nothing about faces. What you've done there is a very good way of, especially if you're timing it, is doing a very basic face. And yeah, what we're saying is it's more than she was curvy, Nate. It's that the curve was dynamic. The curves made it interesting to look at. But yeah, the face is pretty great on this one. The body, not so much. And again, the hands, I haven't taught you how to do hands. And I can see that I haven't taught you how to do hands, but it looks like you took lessons on faces there. I don't know. That's a winner.
No, I mean, that's just me drawing. I was just like,
I know it's just you drawing it. And the thing is the thing about life drawing that's so good is that oftentimes you don't give yourself enough time to think about it, and you just do it. And sometimes that's a good thing. And that's where I think a lot of like you are a naturally very creative person, and sometimes like your instincts just made very good choices.
All right.
Next.
I don't know what's going on here, but this is the pose she was in.
So it's actually a very good pose. Like the thing is with like weird poses is they're very great to practice on.
Yeah, I just wanted to attempt it.
Yeah, exactly.
I attempted.
So there's nothing horrible about this. I mean, I don't see it and it screams realism, but you know, again, considering this is the third lesson of you ever sort of doing this sort of drawing, it's fine, you know, it's pretty good. The face does kind of make it look like Tintin.
Yeah,
that's immediately what I'm thinking of. And the thing is, it's because you've got like this sort of like flat face, like she's Thomas the Tank Engine,
yeah,
on like a tube, whereas faces don't really do that, you know.
No.
And stuff, and heads are a very weird shape.
I wasn't focusing on faces at all, but yeah.
I know, but that's
heads and faces were probably my worst.
It's where your eye is drawn as humans to find faces, or whatever you may be. Instantly you're drawn to the face just sort of biologically. So that's what I noticed, because the rest of it's like mostly fine. Again, you got...
Yeah, you look at the face because you're like, what is going on with that face?
Yes. But, you know, the rest of it, I'm quite glad you did a pose like that, because it did challenge yourself. And if you had that thought process of like, I just wanted to try it, good. That's why, you know, that's the big fun thing. I could draw people standing dramatically for forever and be fine, like commercially, but that's boring. I want to push myself. I want to draw, you know, all these dynamic things, and that'll look better in the end. So it's good to practice it.
Yeah,
All right.
I thought it looked interesting, and also because she had like all her weight on like kind of her right
on
side.
like her arm and her like the weird. So the weird thing about this, if you were like, not if you were doing the motion, but if you're doing like where the weight is like here, which is very weird. It kind of like skips the leg, kind of. It kind of
Oh, I
makes
felt
this,
like it was on her arm and her leg.
it does this, which is very strange. Like the arm is fine, but that bit is very the triangle bit is a little abnormal, but you know, interesting to draw because it's abnormal.
I don't know, her leg was weird looking in this, and I think that's what challenged me a little bit.
Yeah,
It's because her leg was actually very
strangely
strangely
bent and sort of leaning on like her toes in a weird way. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, not terrible. Pretty
Now,
good.
to get to the guys where everything's really bad. I
So,
feel like I do better
lot
with women because I know, I mean, I see myself, I know what
Yeah.
I look like.
You have that advantage. A lot of people also find women easier to draw because, in general, a lot of the musculature is sort of hidden a little bit more. Whereas, especially if you're drawing, you know, fit guys, you're going to draw more of the muscle.
Oh yeah, get ready for this. Are you guys ready?
And
I did not
Boom.
draw as many, but
so yeah, you're gonna have a harder time in general if you're using like you're saying Instagram. If you're using life drawing, you're gonna have a hard time finding.
and I don't know why everyone's heads are just weird. But his
it
head
possible
was tilted weird, and I don't know.
See, here's the thing. That's gonna be one of the hardest things to like. That's hard, like for me still is like.
He was
those
looking
kind of
down at
dynamic
a book.
things and things like that. Gave yourself a challenge, and that's great. But because of that, you've got like a lot of foreshortening going on in this painting, and that's when, you know, something's close up, so it's bigger, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And that is very.
I thought that would be fun to try, because
Yes.
his body was forward and his legs were kind of back, and I was like, well, that's interesting. So I was trying it, and this
Yeah,
is not the best.
you're winning effort points. You've got the right mind process. But yeah, because of that, you ended up with like a head that's too small, and like the legs would probably have actually been smaller, or the body would have been tilted more. Probably. I mean, of course, I don't know, but because of foreshortening, you know, the angles look like they could have been different or should have been different. But the main thing, like, that's not as bad. The main thing is that you've ended up with a very small head because he was kind of like doing this, and I think he kind of had a hard thing to deal with.
Yeah.
But the rest of it, like the legs, pretty fine. You actually don't have much problems with legs. The arms are like mostly there, but the head is mostly the problem. But then I haven't taught you anything about drawing heads and drawing faces and things. And drawing like these kind of angles with heads is still a challenge.
Yeah.
It's always going to be a challenge. Some people have a lot of difficulty with like hands. I've kind of got over that. It's drawing those sort of very dynamic like angles because it changes everything. And if you don't get it perfect, they're going to look like some kind of monster from an 80s movie. So. All right, now we want to see the main event.
Oh god.
We want to see the big guy.
He's holding onto a coffee mug.
I didn't even notice that the first time you showed me because my eyes did not go there. So, like we were saying, you're gonna have a harder time drawing guys. Because one, you got all the muscles on the show, which is good, great, brilliant for learning, but it means there's less places to hide. Whereas, depending on the women, but if you're taking like sort of stereotypical women, you know, there's things that are a little more they're less defined in that way, so it's easier to draw.
I'm sorry, I'm just cracking up at the chat, commenting on it. I should probably mute myself. I'm just laughing too hard. Go forward, Ollie. You're trying really hard to give me a lesson. I just keep laughing.
Look, I feel like I want this guy to give me a lesson.
You want this guy to give you a lesson?
Yeah. I don't know what in.
I'm
but
sure
anyway,
he could teach you how to, like, lift.
He probably could teach me how to lift. I think I want him to lift me. So, in actual advice terms, the chest is fine. Chest is actually pretty good. Chest is actually real good. It's where the chest joins on everything else. He might have had real wide hips.
He did.
But I feel like he did this wide?
Yeah. I mean, I just drew him as much as I could.
You just drew him as you saw him, of course. Yeah. Exactly. It does look weird, but then he could. I don't know what was going on beyond, and the camera might have ended there, but he might have had like a bit of like
it was a
one
picture.
leg leaning out and one down like that, and then
I couldn't see the rest of his legs, so I don't actually know how.
That would have kind of made it make more sense.
That's probably what was happening. I don't know what was going on down there because they didn't have the rest of the photo.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably what was happening.
It's hard to find dudes with like full body photos wearing not much clothes. Or maybe I'm just not looking in the right places.
I don't know if I'm allowed to comment on that. And the arms, he's got... So it actually ends up evening out because you have fairly wide hips and very wide shoulders. And that kind of evens out. But like I think I said last time, this area is meant to be the same as the hips. And actually it nearly exactly is. So actually it's really good. Although it doesn't look very healthy for him that he has such a thin waist going on. Maybe he like lost some water weight before the photo shoot or something, because you know it does. Some people do have that, but it's actually not the healthiest.
I don't know. He was like beefy.
He's beefy, but in like a weird way. Okay. The main issue, aside from one obvious thing that may be realistic, but I can't ignore, is again, small head. Getting the head the right size is always hard to do. I have had an issue with it for a very, very, very long time, especially because the sort of general proportions between men and women change as well. Especially when even above that, when you get to a sort of like more muscular body type, it throws everything out of proportion. So I'm not surprised. Actually, your hands here are pretty good. Like, because I'm not telling you anything about hands. Like, this hand is pretty good. It nearly looks like he has 6 fingers. It's just got sort of got like a sneaky thumb movement going on there. I had to check. But no, this
is not like, this is a finger. This is like his pinky, and then this is.
Yeah, I figured it out now.
These are 3, and then there's 4.
Yeah.
Thumb.
Considering, as much as it is kind of funny when you first look at it, a lot of the individual things are really good. But then coming together as a whole, it doesn't work so well. And that's kind of what's going on with your sketching in general, is that actually you're doing a lot of things right, but they don't come together in the end, which is not a surprise, and it happens to a lot of people. Don't be embarrassed. And it just is as it comes with time, which is why we're going to do more live drawing today. You get better at finalizing that final project. If you ever watched me paint, everything looks kind of messy and janky until like the last 10 minutes where it all comes together. And that's sometimes how life drawing is. Well.
Someone's like, I think the original picture was of Dalric. I'll never look at it in the same way. It's not Dalric, but like that's really funny.
Like you put a little more beard in here. Got a little bit of that.
Are you gonna try to make it look like him?
Yeah.
Oh, you're adding a beard for him. This is
good. Great. He just kind of looks like a sexy Amish guy now.
Yeah, it does not look like Delric.
Oh no. I've drawn Delric too many times. I don't want to go in that.
Yeah.
again. All right.
Yeah, I don't know. I tried and with him because I specifically was like, ooh, someone who's muscular, so I can like try to do all those things that I learned from that drawing. And I don't know if you can see kind of like where I was.
No, you have.
Trying to figure out like where is that muscle on him? Oh, it's kind of in this region-ish.
Exactly, and that's why like the arms are actually pretty good. They almost look like they don't fit on the body, but the work you did on the arms are good, and that's because you've taken the right mentality of going, oh, what's under the skin, as we all should in today's modern society.
Yeah, I think because he was leaning on this, I didn't make it feel like there was enough weight there. So maybe
you're always going to have a hard time doing that if you're not showing the entire body. That is just it's just always harder.
Yeah, that's why I kind of drew the railing to show that he's leaning on it. But
that honestly helps a lot. And that's something you do if you took a realistic lecturing class. A lot of the times they have railings or poles or things like that, and they tell you, you know, put that in as well, at least as a very brief way, so that it gives it that sense of weight, gives it that sense of place. So this is definitely an A for effort.
There's new people coming in, they're just like, oh my gosh, his crotch bulge.
Why don't we move on to the next sketch you did?
Oh, the last one I did, I was just drawing something random. It was not from anything that I was looking at. So,
this is more like an actual, like, creative sketch than a life drawing sketch, but we might as well look at it. So, the mermaid. Mermaids are real fun to draw, especially when you get into more about anatomy. And the thing is, this is actually real good, you know, especially like, bear in mind your level of skill, blah, 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 blah. But all the technical things are right. All the technical things are right. Did you use like a pose reference for this?
No.
That's even better, because like the way this arm is, so it's something I said to you last week, is that the way the position of the shoulders completely changed the chest, and you've done that. And that arm,
zooming in on this is weird.
This arm looks right. You know, of course, there's not like levels of detail and things, but that doesn't matter. I'm not even worried that much about the level of detail, because the anatomy is pretty good. Where it starts to fall apart is the tail, but that is an extra level of difficulty. Drawing mermaids, you have pretty hard.
I was having her kind of like
twist,
her tail, twisted, and then she's kind of like turning.
Her chest is like this, and then her hips are sideways.
Yeah, so like her hips are facing, or her legs are facing that way.
And I do get it.
Yeah.
And it's not entirely it's not bad for that. And now you explained that, like, I get it a lot more. So what I was going to say was you want to actually sort of have wider hips here, and it's almost exactly this this space. If you just filled that in, it would have looked a lot more realistic. Realistic to, you know, being a fish lady. But because if you ever, the thing with mermaids, but a lot of people end up drawing them very pretty, very dainty, but actually, realistically, mermaids would have a lot of muscles in their tail.
Ollie knows some mermaids out there.
This is my shit. I draw fantasy, and I try to at least make some consistent sense. It doesn't have to be realistic, but mermaids have muscle in their tails. And I actually had a commission from, I think, Midori in chat to draw a mermaid sometime last year, and you know, there's a lot of muscle in the tails.
Midori does awesome like cartoon stuff. You could definitely check out their stuff. I loved all of the art that Midori made. He does
chibis, and maybe we'll have a chibi masterclass as well.
Yes.
And actually, so now that you said that the hips are twisting, it makes more sense. But I didn't immediately see that.
Yeah,
is the thing.
I drew another mermaid. If you want to see that.
I mean, if you have it easy to get.
Yeah, she's really sad though.
But again, see, with that, you know, that's a meatier tail, and that was nice. I was gonna say the hair in the other one, like, actually, you know, again, the detail isn't right, but like the concept is. the logic behind it is, and that's good. Again, the actual like the anatomy is real good on these two. You're learning. Like the anatomy is really good.
You're learning.
The face is actually pretty good on this mermaid as well.
This
it's
one?
better on this one, on the color one. Not, of course, not the detail, but like
I didn't put any detail.
how the head would be. Well, you don't need to right now. Where it's sort of like, you know, with the
It's a very sad mermaid. I'm sorry, guys.
What was it? You're not like you've drawn the jawline in or anything, but like it is how it would be, and where the hair's coming from, and the hair is flowing pretty much as it would, like more or less. You know, this is pretty much, aside from detail, is real good.
Aw.
Thumbs up.
Thanks, Ollie.
Good job. Yeah.
Sorry, other mermaid.
Sorry. Well, she's also good, but I think Other Mermaid is better. If I am to make to have a choice between the two mermaid waifus, and I do, I'll take the one in color.
You'll take this one.
Yeah.
You'll take the sad, depressed mermaid.
With like no face.
I'll make her happy. We'll be happy together.
No, I won't. Let's be honest. But I relate more to the sad, depressing mermaid as well. All right. Yeah. So as your homework goes, pretty great, honestly.
Did I do a good job?
You did a good
Get
job.
an A for effort?
You get an A for effort, definitely. For the rest of things, considering like where we are, right? This isn't a grade out of skill. This is a grade out of where we are in learning. You're on like a C+.
Great. I'm at a C+. That's
Because
horrifying.
you're passing. You're on the right track. You're learning, but your effort, your can-do attitude is what's going to get you through it. That's where we're going to
Just so you know, Ollie, I was a straight A student. 4.2
nah.
GPA.
A C is a passing grade, and you'll be happy with it. That's my mentality. It's like when people get mad, like, oh, I like that movie. It's like a solid like 7 out of 10. It's like, you didn't like it? It's like, no, it's a 7 out of 10. That's good. That's like what a C+ is. You're doing well. Strive to do better.
Okay.
It's okay to have C's. It's okay to have C's. Also, people spend their entire lives to get 3rd place. So it's good to do that. So what we're going to do now is actually a little bit of life drawing ourselves. So I'm going to show you a website where you can do some digital life drawing. Like I said the other day, it is good to do, if you can get to a real life drawing class, you can. If you have friends or family who are willing to sit and be drawn while you're hanging out, that's even better. If you get a workplace that they're not creeped out by that, then that's great. But real life life drawing is a very invaluable skill because usually they're led by an art teacher who is pretty smart. Technically 7 out of 10 is a C+. Yeah, I mean C-. Yeah, she's not there yet. But this website of Sketch Daily is really good for this kind of thing. So actually we can, that's fine. Is that lady on stream right now, Maggie?
Yes.
So what I can actually do is I can sort of show you some of the things I mean. So this website's really good in that you can also choose specific body types, blah, 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 blah. If you're in a real life drawing class, the thing is that you are timed. Everyone's drawing the same thing at the same time and you're timed. We can't do that here. This isn't the kind of like cool concept thing that you pay for where we can all paint the same thing digitally from a while. But what we can do is be like, okay, now you're going to do a 10-minute drawing and we're going to see what's up. You know, you could do a 1-minute drawing and see what's up. And when it comes to those smaller drawings, it's very much about being gestural. So we're going to do a 10-minute drawing first with you, Maggie, but not now. But keep that up for now because I'm going to sort of show you some things.
Do you want me to press play on this?
No, don't worry about it for now because I'm just going to do a couple of quick stuff on my screen to sort of show you some things. But
All right, I will watch.
we're gonna do a 10-minute drawing first to kind of just get the rust off, and just sort of see what you do. And what I actually like doing life drawing lessons is start with a long one, then go to short ones, and get longer and longer and longer till you get to something big. So with big life drawing, it's pretty much how we did in the other class, where you're gonna be drawing things. I got my brush set real weird. And this is going to be a little bit janky because I'm kind of like looking through your screen over here. But you're going to be drawing, the entire body in like wireframe first, how things work. I'd actually spend a little more time on this. Draw the entire painting. Can't see her feet because chat's blocking it. Chat, get off her feet. It's weird. But you draw the entire body in wireframe. You can use the big trick, which I'm not doing here. She looks dead. I think that's kind of the
she
point.
looks kind of dead.
The big trick is that what you do is you use reference points on the image to anchor other points of your image. So, for example, basically the end of her neck is the start of her hands, stuff like that. That is what you do to make your image sort of come together and don't lose it. But with a longer painting, you start with a wireframe, you start building it, you start building it, you start building it. But let's imagine you actually only had 30 seconds to draw this.
Oh,
well, then it's all about gesture. And we will do some 30-second life drawing. It's all about gesture. And that's why that first one I really liked. Because gestural drawing is very much about almost as few strokes as possible, where you're just trying to get the idea of the painting. And it's honestly like, you just got to be very quick. It doesn't so much matter about the proportion, but it's how much of the idea of the pose that you can capture on a very short notice. And again, you want to get like sort of the idea of there being that she's on something. Of course, this is kind of like terrible. I haven't actually done life drawing very recently because I don't have a class near me, and that is not a great excuse. But you know what? I'm an adult. I can make my own mistakes. But again, if that was a however long 10-20 second life drawing, you got the concept down. And that's really the challenge of gestural drawing. And it becomes a lot more when you're doing like people who are, moving and like doing all this stuff where you try and capture it very quickly, blah, blah, blah. Gestural is where you're going to get when you do the faster ones. What we're going to start with is doing a 10-minute. And I want you to basically start painting this lady and see how it goes.
You want me to paint this lady specifically?
Why don't we skip to a new one and sort of see what you get. Her laying down is going to be hard. Oh, we got this one. Yeah. The creepy...
creepy bird man
creepy
thing.
Bird waifu.
I think it's a woman, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Creepy bird woman.
So, your challenge is once you've got everything set up, however you want it.
I gotta move it over here.
Is paint that.
Can you get rid of your annotation as well?
Yes. Is when you're ready, start that timer and just start painting. Bear in mind, your space on your canvas. Bear in mind, you can use light and dark. I wouldn't go into color, but of course, this is a black and white painting. And the reason why we're going to start with 10 minutes one is really more or less to be like, all right, you have. So that bit in the start of some games where like, here you have all the powers you're going to have later, and you can do whatever you want, and then we're going to take it all away from you.
I'm going to take all your power away.
But you'll find that you're going to do a lot better with a time constraint. It's more like usual.
Okay.
So, challenge yourself.
This will be interesting.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting. Let's just put it that way.
I love life drawing. I don't do it nearly as much as I should because it's hard to find time for when you're a busy boy. But it's always good to do to keep yourself sort of grounded. And drawing with these time constraints is very important.
I have that thing where it keeps popping up the circle in that circle. It's like
I was gonna
so
say,
annoying.
you look like you're having a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, it's very annoying.
We never found a fix for it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I haven't found anybody who knows a fixing for it.
It's a Windows problem. Annoyingly, Windows thinks it knows best, and it doesn't. I
Windows
actually
knows its
can't
best.
see
Oh yeah, because you were saying
anything.
that Windows was a reasoning for it being
Yeah,
like
so what
that.
it is basically Windows has its own internal software for using tablets, and it is conflicting with Wacom. But even though if we turn it like off, it still does its thing, which is pretty rubbish. So I actually can't see you doing anything on screen.
I am.
Oh, you're just using you're using like a light gray and a light
I
gray. Never mind.
like
Yeah.
have a light hand brush, so it'll get better.
No, but it's entirely fine to use light on this. I will say you can use layers on this painting, but it's probably better to not use many layers and just sort of layer it up on one layer, almost as if you were using pencil.
Oh, her legs are interesting.
Yes. The nice thing about this website, you actually have quite a lot of like weird ballerina poses and things like that. See, I don't actually have that image open, so I'm actually going to do my own one on my side, and I'll sort of show you what I've done with like almost 10 minutes of time. It probably won't be great. Because life drawing is a skill that it needs to be practiced. I do draw real people. I usually use real people as influence in my paintings, but you know, it is a practice skill. It's like anything, and if you don't do it for a while, it goes away. But it's very valuable when you're learning to draw. I don't need it. I don't need to do it to learn the anatomy. I should just continue to do it to cement it, you know. Whereas for you, this is, you know, the start of something.
Yeah, this is like the beginning
Where
to the end.
It's very important in the beginning, and I was that guy where it's like, I don't need to learn how to draw real people. I want to draw dragons and cat people and stuff. Not necessarily in that order, but I then was snapped out of it of being, no, you need to learn how to draw real people to draw everything else, which is true and important. And that's why life drawing is very important if you are learning to draw. And by life drawing, I don't necessarily mean having to go to a life drawing class. This website, which if you just search Sketch Daily, it shows up, is very good. Also, again, if your like parents let you draw you, or like your sister or family or cat. Cat, less useful, but still useful. Useful in its own ways. It is as on top of being a challenge of how to draw anatomy, it is a challenge of putting what you see onto paper instead of what you're putting in your mind into paper, which a lot of people have an easier time with, but when you need the skills to be able to do that. And then some people just are happy drawing, you know, people from real life. And that's also fine, because you can't really go wrong when it comes to art. You can do how you want with your style, how you want it, which is why it's kind of interesting that you draw in a very light touch compared to my very rough touch, because it's different.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it's not wrong.
It's just kind of like how I prefer to start, because then I can go in with more depth later. Is kind of.
Whereas what I do is I have this very sharp touch, and then I dim it down later on. I said earlier I was painting a dragon today, and what I did is I basically drew every layer really dark, and then was like, all right, I'm done with the wireframe below the painting. I'm now going to dim the opacity of those layers like down to 20% and draw on top of them, you know? That's sort of how I do.
Yeah, and welcome to those of you who are new or you're wondering what is going on right now, because this is not what I normally do on stream. I am learning how to do art because it's something that I have wanted to learn. And
Maggie is a supporter of art and artists, and wants to join us in our exclusive ranks. She wants to join the club.
I want to join the club. I want to be part of it. I'm so bad at like arms for some
So
reason.
I think you're going to be glad that you don't have the pose I have. So arms are very difficult to draw in the sort of poses you're doing because, again, they're in 3D space. They're like in front of the body, but not in a flat way. You got to draw the almost foreshortening, which is, even in very small amounts, there is still foreshortening, and it can be pretty tricky. That's why I always draw my arms when I'm designing a pose in tubes, more or less, because sometimes, that foreshortening really comes into effect. You're going to be real glad you don't have the picture I have, because it is... One, it's weird. I mean, you might win on the weirdness scale, but dude, it
is a weird photo, but I kind of dig it because it is weird. And the fact that it's weird kind of like draws your eyes to like weird parts of it. Does that make sense?
So this is fueled by like DeviantArt photo people and stuff who do these sort of cool poses online. And there is a bunch of... DeviantArt's actually a really good place to get those pose reference images. There's also actually websites online that do nude pose reference for artists, but they don't do life drawing classes usually. But they would be really good to do so if they had like a randomization option. It's always good.
The thing popping up bothers me so much.
And whereas like as Maggie is just starting, I've been doing art streams for like a year.
I'm just what?
5. You're just starting to learn how to draw.
Yeah, this is like my 3rd class.
I've been streaming for a year doing art streams. Like an old man. But drawing for much longer. And there's also no shame in zooming in. You tend to work quite far away, but of course, if you do want to put the details in, much easier to zoom than to not.
Oh, God. The bell in the house rang.
I was gonna say, did you just get scared by your own doorbell?
Yes. Someone else is answering it, not me, but it did freak me out a little bit.
That's hilarious. I get scared by my own cat meowing sometimes, so I can't sass that much.
I kind of want to draw his face just because it's kind of cool.
You should at least try to draw some of it in. Of course, as much as you feel comfortable
like,
is.
ding?
But now, you've drawn everything in a bit, you've got no reason to neglect anywhere,
Yeah. Oh. I'm gonna drink that. I've been delivered a drink. Perfect timing because it switched photos. So I'm going to pause.
Oh, did you just have the 10 minutes?
Stop. Yeah.
I've still got 2 minutes left, but I will pause. So, with 10 minutes, you have done, and this is mostly because of your soft touch. You've done the entire body, which is really the main thing. Because if you couldn't draw the entire body in 10 minutes, you were going to have some trubs.
It kind of went away, so I won't have the reference photo.
Exactly, you won't, but that's fine. You don't need it. It's not about the reference photo. It's about what you've drawn. You didn't really get much detail in anywhere, but this painting wasn't about detail. What you could have done, which was quite interesting, is see where the light and dark sort of falls, which is always interesting. But then it was very sort of, didn't have a lot of contrast in the painting. But you got the entire body done, you got the sort of posing done, all that good stuff. Because you have a very light touch, it is almost a little hard to tell what you've done. It makes it look like you've done less, but you haven't. But that's what it makes it look like, because you're just sort of very featheringly doing stuff. Do me a favor. Duplicate this layer that you've painted on.
Duplicate it?
So if you drag the layer down to where it has... Or you can do that. See, now it looks like you've done more, because it's simply darker.
Oh, that makes it
More
easy.
detailed. Yeah, exactly. And I've used to do this with some layers and things as sort of a way to make it look a little more refined and stuff. Now it's a little more easier to see what you've done. Yeah, I see where you've had trouble with the arms, but you don't really much have trouble with the legs, the chest region, the hips. They don't lie. They're pretty good.
Yeah, I feel like what I always go for first when I see a photo is usually like I'll do that line, like you were saying, like the line of like how it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of like go down, and I'm drawn to where the weight is first, which tends to be the legs.
Yes.
Because I feel like if I get that right, I can kind of move my way up. And I don't know if that's weird, because I see other people, I see you too, and you kind of start at the neck. And I always like start at the legs and I kind of go up. It's weird.
But that's entirely a reason. That's fine. That's like whatever method you find first. With starting with the legs, it makes that problem. I will notice one very big issue. I'm going to change to red, like a teacher.
Ooh, okay.
The leg goes down there, and then continue there. You've made a phantom leg. It doesn't join up.
Yeah.
That's a boo-boo. But it is the only like massive boo-boo I see. But then again, that's the thing with life drawing. Because of the way you're sort of I wasn't really paying attention to your camera, and I should have, because I don't know how much time you spent looking at the picture and how much time you spent looking at your drawing. The trick with life drawing is to not look at what you're drawing very much. And that's where you avoid mistakes like that. Because mistakes like that happen when you are looking at what you're drawing more than when you're looking at what you're meant to be looking at your drawing instead of looking at the model.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And I think it's
just a practice thing when it comes to that, honestly. And that's sort of, and that's how it also comes to when it comes to doing your own design pictures, where it gets you in that mentality to sort of think of the bigger picture and not really necessarily like if I was drawing detail somewhere, I'm not necessarily thinking of the detail where it is in that place, but like the detail somewhere else. The details as they come together as a whole, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So what we're going to do now, if you go back to Sketch Daily, and this is the one I drew. She was a weird like rope parasol lady doing a weird wide
I can move to your screen. Yeah, yours looks awesome. Like a proper artist drew that.
Yeah, but bear in mind I've been professionally trained to do like I've had professional life drawing classes, not even like if you take one like old ladies at the mall, like professional illustrators and artists doing professional things. So I do have an edge, but and that's the trick is when you have these longer ones, you can get some shading in, which again, even a little bit of shading also adds weight if the shading is in the right place. And considering you're going off life drawing, the shading will always be in the right place if you just do it right. Whereas if I didn't have that, it wouldn't come together. And even things like there was a very detailed parasol. I didn't put all the detail in the parasol. That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You can see that, and you can see it's a parasol, and it sees exactly how it is. The detail is where it matters more, which actually was the shading and the little crinkles and whatnot.
Yeah, I think even what I like is the shading on the legs too.
Yes, it was very the shading of the legs, and this was entirely in the painting. There was very dramatic. The picture is very dramatic. Is very good at defining where the muscles in the legs are in this painting, which is why life drawing on these websites is kind of good, because sometimes you do get like this one was very good for drawing the anatomy as a whole. This one had some real interesting things of just sort of where like the leg muscles are, and also honestly like how a dress sits, which is often, at least as a dude, kind of hard to get right sometimes because of very particular fittings in different dresses.
It looks perfect.
And it's great. But that's sometimes a problem. So what we're going to do is you are going to load up a different. So go back to that website of Sketch Daily. I don't think we're going to go to a super short time yet. And for me, that was around 8 minutes because I was setting you up first. So
Okay.
not a full 10 minutes, but I very rarely do a 10-minute life drawing.
Should I do another 10-minute or should I change
No,
the time?
I think put you to 2 minutes. We're not going to go incredibly fast, but exactly. I want you to feel the burn. I want you to
feel the burn,
and
you guys.
This is going to be one of the things, but because you draw in this very light, feathery way, you actually have a slight disadvantage, and you're going to need to push through that to get something down. Because the challenge is not so much do the shading, not so much do the anatomy. I mean, of course, you're going to be doing the anatomy right, and sometimes if you speed up, you make silly mistakes, or sometimes you just sort of, like with some of those other paintings, you don't even realize you're doing it perfect, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But the challenge is getting the entire painting in. And that's why I think 2 minutes. I was going to go 10 minutes.
Do you want to approve of the pose or whatever?
Yeah, go ahead and,
Okay.
and
Let me.
show me.
Well, then I have
Just
to,
flash it on my screen anyway, because I then have to don't load it and
Yeah.
stuff. That's a great one.
Okay, that one's fine. It's
I
the same
very
one that I
much-
showed you guys before. Cool.
Mhm.
All right. Cool.
2 minutes.
And
Go. You
For some reason
by the
it's-
way, you're not on a drawable layer right now, so you can
Yeah.
have
I have to grab the layer. I think. All right. The problem is it's gonna go really fast.
Yes. And that's the thing.
Oh God.
That's why I wanted to do it, because as an artist, chat, I draw fast. That's actually like one of my big advantages in the industry is like Maggie has come to me like, I need something tomorrow
He
before.
does draw fast.
Not everyone does that.
No.
And I think in general, Maggie, you're going to be a much slower, more methodical, more detailed artist than me. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everyone has their own thing. I'm very much a first draft person. I'm like, this is done. And stop. But being the thing with life drawing, if you were in a life drawing class, you would be doing these quicker gestural paintings because they're very good at getting your brain to click this stuff.
Oh
doing
God.
it quick.
This is not gonna go well for me.
But then we're going to keep trying until it does go well.
What?
That's the thing with life drawing classes. You keep doing it until it works. This type of help I do over Twitch, something you do often. This is the first time I do it, but I do art streams on my channel. Where I sometimes explain what I do. If someone asks what I'm doing, I will explain it, but I don't explain the whole thing. Usually I talk about food. I'll be honest. It's usually food. This is a special thing that Maggie asked me to do because I didn't think I could do it, but I can do tutorials and things. But I'm happy to give critique on artwork in general. Because the industry I come from, which is game art, is actually very harsh when it comes to critique, and so I was sort of gone through those trials of fire, and I try to do it in a much nicer way because it's not nice to do.
It's done.
So, go ahead and do that same trick again. When
Yeah. Oh God. Oh God. That's so fast.
Because obviously you have an easier time seeing drawing what you're drawing than I do, but I had a very hard time seeing what you're doing.
Duplicate it like a few times.
Yeah, and honestly, that is kind of a problem, but it's just.
She kind of looks like a horse trotting.
She's got a little bit of horse legs going on, but not in like a bad way. All right, zoom us in a little bit. Enhance.
Enhance? Okay. I will enhance
Double
for
pixels
you.
on the screen there. See, here's the weird thing. When you actually do those double ups,
I
your
think I
white
got
work is-
stressed out and I freaked out.
That's the thing. You can't let it get to
It
you.
got to me. It got to me. Holly, help.
But here's the thing. You drew the entire body in a gestural form, which was the prompt. And then you started going into a little bit more detail in the legs. And it's the reason why it looks kind of horsey is because you didn't finish.
Yeah.
And also because
Yeah, it's 'cause I
with
didn't finish.
the weird thing, because you didn't finish, what it ends up doing is it ends up looking like the calves and the this part of the leg is like behind the camera more.
Yeah.
But it's not. Or further back from the camera, but it's not. It's just because you didn't finish that area, and that's fine because that's with that sort of rush that's going on. What you would find better if you are drawing things quicker is to draw like the curve. of
Well,
one
what I should be
side,
doing,
right?
and I'm
Instead
gathering
of-
that now, like what I should have focused on was like, all right, so there's this shape here, right?
Mhm.
And I could have like focused on that, like, as a shape that I
There's
see.
nothing wrong
And then I
with...
see this other shape here, and I can be staring at that, and I could have just kind of gone in there and done
Exactly.
that.
See, that's the
right?
thing. With that, you've created a lot of negative space. If you were doing a painting in charcoal, and you were you also do a lot of life drawing in charcoal. If you take a professional class like I did, you do even have like some in like watercolor and stuff. But what you would do is, and I'm going to do this on my screen real quick, is like, you know, basically, actually, I have a brush that's a little bit closer to charcoal. But you'd have things where it is more or less, you know, you do focus on that negative space a lot more.
Oh, should I be showing your screen? I'm not right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna do something real quick.
I'm going...
But like I said, that negative space is very, very important in pretty much every painting, whether you have a background or not. Something you'll notice in a lot of illustrations, especially ones I do, is something called rim lighting, where those backgrounds, the light often comes from behind actors. It looks good. That is why. It is not necessarily realistic, but in pretty much every illustration, there's going to be some reason why the light could come from behind, ignoring that light bounces and light comes from every direction anyway. It looks good when light comes from behind, and that's why one of the reasons why negative space is so important. And like you notice now, you just noticed how important that was to the pose instead of the thighs, because like I said, the sort of thigh region doesn't matter. But that's the thing. You looked at it, and you looked at it after the fact, and you realized that, and that is the lesson. But yeah, that's the thing. The fact that you noticed that is really good. Now it's time to do another one with the 2 minutes.
Oh god.
We're gonna do a couple of these before we move on to something else.
Okay.
On them, because this is the lesson. Is sort of we're going to be doing live drawings and comparing them. You know.
I will show it to you first. And we'll pause.
That's a good one.
That's a good one? Okay.
Yep. You're going to have a bit of trouble because she's floating, but it's cool.
It's okay.
It's got a witch thing going on.
All right.
I like it.
I'm going to merge these.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll add a new one.
So what you did there is you actually merged the background into that layer. So you're gonna just make that disappear. And you're gonna realize if you just do merge selection instead of merge layer instead of merge visible, or do merge visible like this. Yeah.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna need my next one. Oh boy, oh boy. Are you guys ready?
What?
I don't think I can do this one in 2 minutes, but we will try.
It's not about the detail, it's about getting the gesture.
Right.
And the gesture's very dynamic in this one, which means it's all about that flow, that line of movement, which is going to be real interesting for this.
Damn it, it's gone now.
Oh, did it like unpause?
Yeah. Oops. Oh. I think I gotta go back. There might be naked people in this one. Potentially.
That's fine. Sometimes, you may have not turned off nakedness,
I have to make sure that I select
timing in.
Closed people.
Website likes naked people. You know, as many folks do.
All right. I'm gonna have to re-show you. Actually, you can see right now.
Mm-hmm. It is. The time is moving, just so you know.
You can tell me which one you think we should do.
That's fine. I would ignore the puppy.
Oh, when I hit stop, it does that. Why?
No, that's not stop. That's not pause. That's stop. You know, like on a CD.
I want to stop doing it. Oh, this is the pause button. Okay.
Yeah, you want to do pause, not stop. That guy's fine.
Okay.
You said you want to draw some men.
Oh, I'm so bad at men. Okay.
But of course, in this context, everyone's just bones.
Yeah, that's true. It's just the pose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh. I selected the wrong thing. All right. Move you on over. Back. All right. Now we are going to draw this dude. Are you ready?
I'm always ready. I'm just watching.
You're like, I'm ready to watch you fail. The problem is I have to hit play and then I have to like go over here. Okay, so
Yes.
we've got his head. We've got kind of like this thing.
The way you paint and screen sharing, I actually can see very little while you're painting. I can see nearly nothing.
That's great.
It kind of, the shade of gray you're painting in is so close to the actual background shade of gray where it doesn't show up on the screen.
Really? That's funny.
Almost not at all. Just because, of course, it degrades the quality, not even by much in zoom, but enough that it loses all the detail.
And kind of got like anything going where he's doing his thing. Oh god, this is so bad.
It looks good so far.
I thought you said you couldn't see it.
It's very, very small, like a stamp on my end, like the reference images, and I can see just enough.
You can see just enough that you can tell that it looks all right so far.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This guy doesn't have a big bulge, guys. You're safe.
In action poses like this, the bulge hides away for safety, like a hermit crab.
I can actually draw a little bit.
You got to that stage where you're like, I finished the body, now I can like...
Yeah, well,
put
didn't
a
really
little
finish the
detail.
body because the arms, I just realized I didn't do much
No,
of
but
that.
you got the gesture of the arms,
Yeah.
which is more important. Has it been 2 minutes?
What? It's close. It's like 4 seconds.
Wow, that was a long 2 minutes.
There we go.
All right, go ahead and
Oh, stop.
do
I hit stop again.
darken the layers.
I'm doing
and
that.
Then you might be able to operate some of this website just via hotkeys, but I don't know if you can do that if it's on the
Don't put the stop button right next to the pause button, guys.
It's on everything. How it does.
It's like the close button is always right next to the thing that it shouldn't be, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's terrible, but it doesn't matter. As long as you remember to turn off naked people, we're good.
Turn off naked people,
The
right?
thing is it's real good when I can see it.
His arms, shoulders look weird because I didn't finish drawing them.
Yeah, but that's... Yeah, see, the issue with this one is that there is that weird inconsistency where it's got, like, skeletal arms. Doot. But the... So from what I saw...
Oh yeah, quit right next to stave, right? Why? Intuitiveness.
Yeah. People don't think about it. So obviously, aside from the arms, this line goes like this. I don't know. I feel like you didn't capture it brilliantly, but it was a very hard one because again, he's sort of in motion in mid-air. And what you've actually done pretty well so far is that join of where like a leg meets the ground, whereas you didn't have that in this painting. And that's very interesting that you took to that very quickly because that's something that I always think is a very advanced thing that for some reason you're just good at, which is great. Everyone's got their own skills.
Yeah,
so
it should be a little bit more like...
It should be a little more...
Here.
Almost like angled, but then the sort of way you're drawing your limbs so far, they kind of lose all their angling and stuff. But then that's quite hard to do with this sort of quick gesturing and stuff. What you might want to try and do is actually when it comes to drawing this quickly, you don't need to worry so much about the wireframe sometimes. Sometimes you can kind of just do the outlines, but it really does depend on the painting and your mood and what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would have helped you here. I have no idea. But you would have been able to get some negative space here. But then that's not a big loss. It's not like the other one where it's super important. because I feel like the legs were the more important one of this one, and sort of like the chest and the body and where that sort of turn happens in the belly, which you did fine for that. I'm knocking things over.
Thumbs up.
Another.
All
2
right.
minutes. Nakedness off.
Is this one good, or should we go to the next?
This one's. Go to the next one. This one isn't great for you right now because it's foreshortening, which isn't the best.
There's a lot going on.
I painted this one before.
Is she a pirate in a shopping cart?
She's like a trash pirate.
This is like hobo battles.
This would be really good if we were doing a longer painting, but I don't think.
Like a 10-minute one?
Yeah. Well, a 5-minute would probably be. We might do a 5-minute one next. This is fine.
Oh, this one is like, I think the ones where it's like they're not doing a lot is always my hardest. Okay, we will go to the next.
It's interesting that you're taking more to motion. A lot of people find it harder to do motion but easier to do still things. But you're the opposite right now. But it might flip and change as we do more painting.
Yeah, later I'm like, I want the easy ones.
It might just be as you learn, you're like, yeah, exactly. It gets how it gets.
All right, hit and play, and here we go. All right, I don't know. Kind of has like droopy shoulders. It's weird.
People do.
Not into it.
I actually draw that a lot. Like shoulders are something I find real interesting because everyone holds the weight differently in their shoulders, and then some people just have like different shoulders in general, and like the poses and blah blah blah. Shoulders. You can tell a lot about someone from their shoulders.
I think I just.
And of course, if you are playing along at home, you shouldn't be turning the nakedness off. You should be doing this with nakedness if you're not streaming it. It's always better to draw naked people, not just for the thrill of it, but you can see under the skin where the muscles are and which are tensed and which aren't. It's a real good thing for learning. As well as just also how skin and how all the things are important to learn. So you should.
Like how her boots are like angled weird. It's like such a strange.
Some of these are a little too posed, which is a problem with doing life drawing this way. Because if you're doing actual life drawing classes, they would be in a pose that can't be too crazy because the model has to stay still for that amount of time.
Oh, I've seen some crazy life drawing poses before. Oh, see her legs like actually closer from behind? That's weird. I don't know how I got to where I am right now. It's not right. That's it.
How did you do what you did?
That's it. Oh my god, that was harder than I thought it was going to be.
Because she was in this sort of like full bodysuit thing.
Oh, it seemed so much simpler, but it really wasn't. This was like my worst. I think I've gotten worse.
Go ahead and darken it for me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, you got worse.
So the thing is, you got caught on the legs, being like, these legs are giving me trouble. You didn't finish your painting. This is unfinished. This is your worst by far because the others you did the whole body, so you didn't. And that's the thing you need to capture here. Not how are their legs positioned, not how or whatever. It's the whole body, and that's if you were doing this in a natural light drawing class and I was walking around, like smack your wrists with a ruler and be like, you're not doing the thing. You're doing
oh my gosh, Ollie's such a mean DJ. He's smacking me with the.
But luckily, you're not within smacking range.
Oh God, help!
But that is the main thing, especially because we're gonna do shorter times later. So you just need to not get focused on individual parts of the painting. Just do it all as one sort of swoosh for these shorter times.
I think it's just harder for me.
Yes, which is why you need to do it.
All right. Which one should we do next?
That's great.
Okay.
Because of course you're not going to do so much with the legs because of the dress, but also it's just simple.
Okay, we ready? I feel like 2 minutes is so... I feel anxiety.
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
If I can do this on camera, all of y'all back home who are trying to be artists, you could do this.
Exactly.
I'm going now. Although I lose a little bit of time because I have to.
You do lose a little bit of time because it starts up, but that's you kind of do get it. Kind of counteracts in that you've actually been seeing this picture for a couple more seconds, so you've already like your brain's already started to go like, how am I going to tackle this before you even think about it?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're doing this at home and some of those other services that are similar, they like, oh, we're going to set up this many paintings, you do it however. You can even, some of them do like actual like simulated lessons where they do change in time as it goes. But you don't have time to mess around and you shouldn't pause it if you're doing it on your own. It will just go 2 minutes, blank, to next picture, then you go, start the next one. Because the way we're doing it, you can't really do that. If you're doing this on your own, you should do it as intended. No mixing. And then figure out which you're better with, the motion or the not motion, which is interesting. You draw people without skin. You've got to be able to understand what people look like without the skin to be able to draw the skin on properly. All about layers, like onions. I made my hair worse. Rip. I'm interested to see what you're going to do with this one because the dress kind of
does mess with you a bit.
It messes with you because you don't know where the legs are going to go.
Well, I kind of can see where the leg is because of the dress. Kind of like her leg is up here.
The thing with like drawing fantasy stuff, you draw a lot of mages, draw a lot of like priests and things wearing like robes.
And that's it.
It could be pretty hard.
It's so fast.
2 minutes is plenty. Just wait until we do 30 seconds. We actually can't do 30 seconds because of the way like you have to like change
I don't
things.
think I can actually do 30 seconds.
2 minutes I think is the shortest we can do, but I might urge you to try some 30 seconds
I could practice
free
some.
time because just to see what you get done. And let's be honest, nearly no one can do a full proper picture in 30 seconds, but it's just interesting to see.
I know some people who I think could.
No, some people can, but even then it's a different thing. It's just interesting to see what you do. I like this. And this is actually like exactly what it needs to be and exactly what I want you to do. This is a good thumbs up. So as your reward, we're going to do a 5-minute one next to apply what you have learned.
To apply what you've learned.
I will see whether you're like, oh, I have all this extra time, or whether you're still gonna. Because when you started with the 10 minutes, it didn't feel like a lot of time.
Oh, what just happened?
I don't know. I think you duplicated it again by accident.
Oh.
So it'll be interesting to see how you feel with 5 minutes of time.
Okay, so now I'll show you which ones. Oh yeah, we have to actually change it completely, right?
Mm-hmm.
To be 5 minutes.
No boobies.
Yeah, we want them to be clothed, and we like 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So.
This one's up to you. I would probably skip this one. Sitting is a different thing altogether right now. I think you want more sort of standing or moving, or again, that sort of a kneeling, and a lot of the body is covered. That will do.
Oh god.
This will challenge you.
No. It will definitely challenge me.
But the question is how the time's gonna feel.
Like it always feels way too.
But will it feel too slow after you've just mastered 2 minutes?
Mastered? I don't know if I would call that mastering. It's kind of like techno Viking, yeah. All right.
Here's a little
Ready?
bit. And this will larken back to what we said earlier, where it is, when you're learning, kind of harder to draw. You know, typical drawn men with lots of muscles and things. Of course, you know, if you're drawing at your average men, you end up having an easier time. But like, you know, when you're drawing men, more often you end up drawing like all the muscles and things, and you get to do all that fun stuff, which is very hard, but amazingly good for your learnings. But it is a struggle. It'd be interesting if you did some of this in your free time. I don't know what they have on here. If you can ever get like a very muscular woman, that's always very interesting as well.
Yeah, I could see that.
That's my favorite thing to draw, like as a request, like barbarian women, like for commissions.
Oh yeah, barbarian women are awesome.
One of my favorites and best things I am at. It's not how you say English. Gore, scars, and cuts. That's fair. Everyone's best at some things. They can be pretty hard in some ways. I actually said this to someone else. I didn't say this to Maggie because I thought this might scare her away. When I was at uni, like I said, very harsh learning environment. Sometimes you need to draw gore. Sometimes you need to draw like bloody wounds and things. And guess how you had to do it? Using reference images.
Oh god,
like
that does.
After like car accidents with like their arms flayed open and stuff.
Oh, yeah, that does not sound good.
I don't do that now because when I'm drawing like blood and gore and things, I'm not trying to make it realistic. I'm trying to do it like in a more fantastical way anyway.
Making his arms way too long. We'll deal with it. .jpg.
The thing is with if you've noticed the arms are too long, you have time to change it.
No.
What you have done in general, Maggie,
slander,
is notice things are wrong, acknowledge them, and then keep going. And that is a big bad no-no. You have no excuse. You have a suite of transformation tools and erasers and...
No, I don't. Lies and slander. I have 5 minutes to get something on the thing.
It takes 0 time to it's not, you don't even need to move it. You can just draw the arm in a slightly better place and ignore what you drew before. That's what you would have done if you were in an actual life drawing thing. You wouldn't have time to get your eraser, or a rubber, as you call it in civilized countries.
Your rubber?
Your rubber, and rub it out.
Rub it out. Oh, God. God, stop it.
Yeah, exactly, Die Hard Draw. I draw, like, fantasy, so even when I draw, like, gore and monsters and things, it depends on the client, but I rarely go, like, full realism. I mean, I don't intend to. I'm actually drawing, like, some bloody stuff. At the moment, there's, like, blood magic, so it's, like, cool and dramatic and dark and not realistic and gory and gross. So, you know, it is, there could be fun in drawing that, and some people really enjoy drawing that sort of stuff, and, you know, it is a challenge in both good and bad ways. So, you know.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. It's like not letting me use pressure.
Too easy. Yeah, I mean, this would be easy for if you were doing... Life drawing is not a matter of easy and hard.
If this is too easy, you come do it.
Even when you know what you're doing...
This is not easy for me.
Yeah, even when you know what you're doing, there's something to learn. I think if you start thinking about it in that way, you're thinking about art in the wrong way. But to someone who this is their third lesson on drawing, this is a perfectly suitable challenge, which is why I made it. I didn't make it.
Yeah, this is my third.
Oh, too easy to rub one out. I mean, that's just what it's called here. It's rubbing it out in the UK. Razors are called rubbers. It's weird. All right, make it darker.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. I need to pause this. And make it darker.
So, to why I'm laughing is that you made a really good... No, it's not bad. But because of the proportions you chose to do, and you chose to do them...
I ran out of space. It's fine.
You didn't run out of space. You have infinite space. You were on Photoshop.
No.
you didn't run out of space. You have infinite space. You have Photoshop.
I
Bear
don't know
in
how to
mind
like
exactly,
make the
have
screen
this
bigger
room
really
here.
quickly.
and you could have just used the move tool to move it up. And of course, yeah, exactly. You're not as knowledgeable on the tools.
Is it
But what you
warp?
could've-
Yeah.
What you should have done is move the image up, or use cropping tool, which is there to make your canvas bigger. You have infinite space. There is no excuse for this. You have an excuse for that in your books. But if you did this in actual life drawing class, smack on the wrist, you should be aware of how much space you have on your painting while you're starting. I used to do this a lot, but what I would do, I wouldn't squish the dude up. I would just like not draw the feet.
Oh, that's a good idea. I could have just
That's
not
better
drawn.
than squishing the dude up, because what you just did is just factually wrong for what we're trying to do. But why it's interesting is that you can
That's
say
why I gave up at the bottom, because I realized
I mean that's better.
I'm
that
like,
you
fuck it, I'm gonna go up to the top because I don't have space down there.
because you already basically made the choice to do the legs wrong in this context. Not putting attention to it is the good thing to do. But you ended up with this very good like cartoonish proportion of like a big strong guy, because you got like this real like good
He's Dorito Man.
stuff going on. It was very good, heroic.
He skipped leg day, okay?
They were very cartoony. Whereas if you were playing like doing designs for like a game, usually the legs matter less in concept art. Like in concept art, it's all the details in the top, and it ladders less and less as you get to the bottom. Where that'd be real good if you're doing some sort of like fantastical project and like.
Oh, Die Hard, you feel my pain. They said that
This
they
type
draw
of
it.
mistake is murder by hand.
Yeah.
Again, it's bad planning.
Oh yeah, it's definitely
ways-
bad planning. It's
there
because
are
I
ways
had
to
no
do it.
plan.
Exactly. And
I came
that,
into it, I was
first
like,
moment-
oh god, try to draw this dude's body.
And that's
as
the
much
thing.
as
If you were doing live drawing in IRL, or the way I do it, you, Maggie, when you're doing this, you always make things separate layers. I do everything on one canvas. That's better to do if you want to sort of simulate a realistic experience. But then you have to like almost push things between other projects and move them around on the canvas. But then you have to kind of master the space you're using, get to know it. And it is one of those things that is you wouldn't have even thought of it being an issue, but it is. And I did it as well with painting. I remember one they had a program at my university where third-year students would teach first-year students, and it was really good because the teachers didn't teach us shit. And they were the ones who were like, "Stop doing this. Why are you doing this?" Like, "Oh, I just ran out of space, so I didn't draw the legs." "Why did you run out of space?" "Oh, because I started drawing here and started doing that." I was like, "Well, you knew that. You knew that was going to happen. Draw smaller." You know?
Yeah, draw smaller.
And it's very like. But
it's
in
not
Photoshop,
a hard thing to know. Like, I should know to draw smaller,
but in
right?
Photoshop, you also have several other things you can get away with. Now, aside from all that sass, the torso and the arms are like good. What you drew was good, especially considering the time limit you had. What you did is you drew the whole body, and then you put more detail in, and you put more detail in the thing that was most important in this painting, which was his musculature. In the chest and body and arms thing. So we were discussing that, you know, you didn't put much detail in the face because that's not what you were looking for, and that you did it the right way. So this would be one of those situations where you fucked up, but you fucked up and dealt with it in such a way where you dealt in like a smart learning way. It's like in my driving test, the second driving test I took because I failed my first one, like I ended up not leaving a roundabout, and I had to like do something, and I did it in a safe way, so it was a mark for me instead of against me, because it's like, well, you made a mistake, but then you solved it in a safe way, but it didn't cause anyone any harm, so that's actually, you know, shows you have like the initiative. Exactly, Die Hard Dwarf. We did that lesson last lesson was all about the basics of doing this kind of thing. Applying it to life drawing is kind of different, especially when you have that time limit. You don't have that sort of thing.
It did help though, because and now I know like the parts of the body that are like
where
each
you
of
want
these
to put the
muscles
focus,
and stuff like that.
in the muscles, all that sort of thing. Yeah, if you did this lesson without last lesson, you'd just be floundering in the water. You might end up drawing some good things, but because of this, like what we did last week, like the muscular and stuff you did draw here, it was really good. And all that good stuff. I want you to do one more 5-minute one, and then we will. All
right, one more 5-minute one.
Wrapping up.
So.
Stuff next time. Nah. I mean, there's just like a lot of grass going on. Nah. That's up to you. It's weird. But I'm like kind of down. Those boots though. Those boots though aren't like that's bad to draw. It's just like a honey. Like I get it.
Okay. Do you want me to draw this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Or you want me to go to the next? Because I can always.
No, that would be really good to draw. But I think this one will be easier for you, especially as a sort of what we've been trying to work on today.
Okay. We'll turn this off and we'll add another layer.
And what we're going to be learning in the next 2 weeks probably is faces as a whole week, and then like hands. And then what we're going to do is probably go back to life drawing, and then you'll actually have a little more knowledge on how to draw these faces and hands and things, and see how that kind of changes things. The thing is, faces and hands are never really the focus of life drawing until you start to like master that time a lot more. I now can go back in longer life drawings and do a bit more in faces, but you know, it's not that important in life drawing because that's not what you're here for, really. But we could do the life drawing mode where it has faces on this website. Her arms are twigs. Yes, exactly. This is what I was saying earlier, where some people have strange proportions, but you know, she has sort of like the female small heroine type of body, which is real good for, you know, it gets requested a lot in commissions and things. Be like a female rogue or something. Yeah, those boots are just weird.
Yeah, you're not digging the boots?
I like the concept of the boots. I've seen versions of those boots that are better. Something about those boots in particular rubbed me the wrong way. I like boots. Boots are great. There's like the sort of cyberpunk thing going on. But start with a circle in eyes, use that to base off the oval. You'll see what I do. I don't use ovals for heads, actually. Next trick. I did it real. I did a real basic of like, look, we're not tackling faces yet, so this is what you just need to sort of do as a stand-in for faces. But teenage you would have adored those boots. Teenage me would have adored those boots as well. I actually only have boots right now because my like regular walking around shoes are broken. So, you know, there's gonna be stomping around everywhere. So one thing about this pose that's very interesting is that she's doing a very sort of dramatic action pose that you see a lot of like female characters in when they have that sort of arc. So it's actually quite good to draw it because I try to draw my characters most of the time in much more realistic poses. Even if you are a cyberpunk assassin, I'm probably not going to do the, hey, look where my focus is. It's the nips. You know, I tend to do that a little less, unless it's a character that would be in that pose. And sometimes there is.
She also has her hand on the trigger, which bothers me, but you know.
The finger on the trigger thing?
Yeah.
That bothers me a lot too. I didn't notice that because I'm seeing it very small, but that's something I try to pay attention to when I draw. I don't draw very many guns, but let's go a little underworld on it.
Ugh. Having the struggle. Also, her like gun is in the way, so it's kind of like this.
Yes, props are an extra challenge.
She has her.
It's almost a shame. I think props might actually be something you can. You can't turn off in this one. In some other ones, you could turn on and off props, but props are an extra challenge. Bag trigger discipline. I know, right? It's not what you want.
It's like no shoulder in this.
It's one of the things with this pose. It kind of cuts this shoulder's existence out. Or this one. Yeah.
I like lots of hair.
Her hair is pretty great. Like, I'm down for the hair. I will say I like mostly what I'm seeing, but I noticed one mistake. Question is, do you?
Which is what?
I'm not going to tell you what it is. No, the question is, do you notice it?
Oh, I'm sure. I see a lot of mistakes, so...
But are you going to fix them before the time runs out?
Yeah, I don't think I can fix them in the time that is going to run out.
That's kind of the issue of when you get to that point where you're adding extra detail in, is especially when you have a time limit, is fixing it. Is one of the reasons why some people do spend a long time on drawing, is, you know, going back and forth and making sure things are perfect.
Yeah, and that's it.
Before and over and after. All right. Duplicate it for me so I have an easier time seeing it, and then we shall discuss. Share with the class.
Show the class how terrible
This
I
actually
am.
does happen. It did happen in my life drawing classes where, you know, everyone would share at the end of like a big painting, especially at the last one of the day, and we'd discuss it.
Enjoy looking at my shitty picture.
There are two big mistakes now that I'm looking at it. And it's actually interesting because you are quite good at the weighting. This leg is mostly fine. So when in these sort of poses, like the leg that has most of the weight on it kind of locks. The leg locks. And that's actually ends up doing this thing where like the
hi there.
knee is actually kind of out a little more, especially on female bodies. You know, you get a bit of this going on. That's where weight is put. But this leg, you actually drew it as if she was facing the camera more, whereas in actuality it was more like here, and it would have done more of a this thing instead of a this thing. Because I've got it still open on my screen, and because of that, because you're doing that, you ended up doing the shoulders right, but because of this thing you did with the legs and the hips here, the gun is in the leg where the gun actually was not touching the leg in the actual painting. In the photo, it was like this, more or less.
Well, I didn't draw the whole gun, so the gun would
No,
be
I know,
like...
you didn't draw a detail of the gun, but just the shape of where the prop would be. And that's with these kind of props, don't worry about the details in the props. It's more where they are and where they're interacting. It's because it's a cause and effect.
Her arm was back more.
Yeah. It's a mixture of both. Because of that, the arm was also a little bit like it did this and actually went out because the like this part of the arm was facing the camera, which is why it was doing that. I know it almost feels unnatural to draw that twist, and that's because it isn't a natural pose.
Yeah, it's
but what you did do real well is, you know, the negative space here, you know, the arms and this leg and the head and stuff. But this was a pretty hard pose because it is very unnatural. It is not how the natural body is, and the whole thing I've been teaching you is how to get that natural body going. It's one of the reasons why some people like me as an artist is whether I'm drawing women who are in a bunch of armor or women who are more scantily clad in bikini armor, you know, I still draw them realistically. Whereas this is a real person, but that is just not a real person's pose.
Yeah.
You know, that is a posed post for a photo. Whereas, you know, if I was really going to draw this character, they'd be more realistic and they wouldn't have these kind of pops in their body, I suppose, is almost a way to word it. So it's one of those ones where it didn't look like a challenge. Because of that, it ended up being a bit of a challenge because of those things. Which is interesting, right? Sometimes it's the things you don't think of that are going to be a problem.
Yeah.
All right. But overall, you did a lot better. You got real good at the 2-minute ones. And then when you kind of you had that extra time, is when you were going back into detail, where you actually started to burn yourself, which is interesting. Having extra time wasn't necessarily a good thing. Sometimes the tablet the pen pressure screws up in Photoshop, and you have like a couple of strokes that are harder than others.
Oh, it's so weird.
Yeah. So overall, your life drawing is really good. Like I said, the 2-minute ones actually were better than the last couple of 2-minute ones were better than these 5-minute ones.
Yeah.
It's almost like you had too much time. And it'd be really interesting to see what you would do with a 10-minute one after a bunch of them. I don't really have the awakeness to do another 10-minute one now and then wrap up. But maybe next time we do that. That'd be interesting. But it's just evident, just if we compared to the paintings you did from Instagram Girl and Bulge Man, the leaps and bounds of improvement in just 2 hours, which is always very interesting about this stream, because we only have 2 hours.
To get rid of this to show you
in
Instagram Girls and Bulge Man.
Bulge Man, exactly, and just instant improvement, which is one of the reasons I actually quite like teaching you, because I don't think you realize how much of this knowledge you're retaining. A lot of it is soaking into like the gooey parts of the brain. Okay.
I feel like I progressively got worse.
No, what happened is that you got better, and then you got not worse, it's just you had a lot of time, so your focus kind of got out of whack. I actually do find those longer life drawing projects a little harder because, especially when you're learning. When I was in university, I find the longer life drawing projects harder because it's sort of like, well, where do you go after you're done with the basic painting, So it's real interesting. And we will return to it maybe a little bit next week. Especially do show me if you do any between now and then. It's not a set homework, but if you think you'd have fun with it, it is fun to like do 10 minutes or so of life drawing, and I do recommend it if you're
I'm totally down with doing some like 10-minute practice ones and showing you guys how bad it is.
I think it'll be great. And of course, show me any other doodles and stuff you do over the next week, because I love seeing that to see how you're improving. And next week, I'm pretty sure, unless I get a better idea or something goes on, I'm gonna do like the basics of faces and heads and things, so you can start tackling that.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to start with bodies and faces and heads and things, and I want to at least get all the basics of how to draw bodies.
Foxford is like, it is homework, Maggie. He's gonna hit you with a ruler if you don't.
Look, it's optional.
All right, well, thank you so much, Ali, for helping me out and teaching me all the things. I know you need to get some sleep.
I do. If you haven't noticed, my voice is starting to go. It's gone like, before your voice disappears, it goes like an octave lower. That's happened right now. And
I get like really quiet and like slow.
I get like this sort of jazz radio voice. I get sort of like coming at you live, in the 5 a.m. morning drive radio. And this isn't me putting on a voice. This is just what I am now.
Tell people where they can find you at. So if they want to check out Ollie Rant's amazing art, where they can check that out at.
You can find that at twitter.com/OllieRant, or if you just want to check out the art, ArtStation at Ollie Smith Art. Ollie Smith Art as sort of one thing is where all my art things are. That's where the website is. That's where the ArtStation is, where I just uploaded all the paintings I did last month. I also stream on my channel, which is twitch.tv/OllieRant. And big news, I probably, after these streams on Mondays, I'm going to not stream so much on Tuesdays unless I'm really in the mood. But on Wednesday, I am starting a new show, which is Stars Right Number, on 7 p.m. BST, and that's the big deal. But on Thursdays and Fridays, I think is how I'm going to do it now, is going to be like art streams and game streams. And I'm actually going to tackle Subnautica when I'm
I
not
love
doing art.
Subnautica. It's
and that's
such
why
a good game.
Because I saw you play some of it, and it's been on my stream list for a while, and I finally defeated God of War, which took forever. But it took forever, and then I finished it. I was like, I want more.
Yeah, it's really good.
that's a good sign. That rarely happens with me. Usually I finish a game, I'm like, that's good. Now it's done.
All
So
right.
that's me.
Yeah.
Please visit me. It'll make me happy.
Yes, please go visit Ali and give him some support. And there are so many other amazing artists out there. So if you appreciate them and you see how much work and effort goes into the learning process, it is a lot.
Every good artist has been going through these things. No one is born a good artist. It's kind of like a meme in like art Twitter is like, oh, you're so good. I wish I was so naturally talented. No, we're not naturally talented. We spent like years of our life
Doodling.
doing nothing but
Yeah,
drawing.
I think some people.
And we were terrible once.
Yeah.
So
When you were like, some people I was like, you were terrible when you were 4, but that's because you just started doodling and you haven't
just started,
stopped
and then-
until you were like
Why?
now.
I probably at around 10 decided I wanted to be an artist. So obviously I kind of slammed pretty hard into it.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in to our Road to Digital Art as I learn how to do art. I know this isn't everyone's jam, so it's okay if you don't tune in all the time. But for those of you who did tune in and you did enjoy it, be sure to give the channel a follow here on Twitch, as well as if you're watching this on YouTube, give us a good subscription button push in there and a little thumbs up, and maybe leave a comment down below if you have any questions or just want to leave us something nice. And I'm going to be continuing to stream if you're watching this on Twitch right now, so don't go away. We'll be doing some more stuff. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to Road to Digital Art with Ollie Rant as I continue my journey learning how to do all the things art. And we'll see you guys next Monday for another lesson.
For faces.
On faces. On your
Faces.
face.